following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
I need basketball, guys. It's been 3 days since K-State beat KU. The women don't play this week. They don't play till Saturday. Men are back in action on Saturday. When you have 4 days without K-State hoops, kind of you're left to your own thoughts. What can I do with my life now?
Yeah, I don't want to focus on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to focus on anything else. I'm really, as the kids say this week, I'm really dragging A. You know what I mean, dude?
Is that what they say?
Oh, yeah, it's the new hot thing to say now. All the kids.
I thought about that today too. I was like, man, this is the
How
third.
you're dragging A?
Yeah. I was like, this is the third day in a row. I haven't done a Mitch palm yet this week. What the heck's going on here? Like,
that's not the latest TikTok trend, is it? Like kids literally dragging A?
No. Well,
not there yet.
No.
We just live it. It's not a trend.
Yeah, we just live it.
We just wake up. We're just doing it.
Real life. Not some TikTok trend.
K-State men and women's basketball in action on Saturday. Men at BYU, which tips off at 9 p.m. If you thought 8 o'clock was late, wait till it tips off at 9. At least it's a Saturday.
That game might finish before Troy wakes up on Sunday. Maybe. He gets up pretty early.
Dude. What are we in the WAC or something? You know, it's starting to it reminds me of old FSN games that would kick at 9:45.
Yeah, do we really want to add Gonzaga?
No.
For basketball games?
No.
So we can start tipping off? Yeah, 11. Yeah, I was about to say that too.
11:45. Oh. No. And then, man, the games that poor Troy does miss out on, I am more than obsessed with the fact that he goes to sleep. He's like, yeah, I went to bed at 7:15. That blows my mind.
So Troy's not here to stand up for himself, I guess.
So let's just
completely talk behind his back.
Yeah.
Behind his ears.
Crush him. What an idiot.
He's a Denver Nuggets fan, and he went to sleep before, Game 7 wrapped up.
Yeah, he was like, nope.
He's committed to his sleep, and that's discipline.
Yeah. I can't do it. I respect the heck out of him. Like, there's some days when I have to work really early over at Dick's, and I'm like I got to be up at 3:30, 2:30, and I'm like, oh, I could go to bed at 10.
Dog, listen, man, there's days you got to work, and the game's on, and you're like, listen, I'm going to be no good to you during and after the game. So you want to stick me in the back or something?
Yep.
Well, we have a busy show today. Welcome to the game. Mitch Fortner with David G. and Owen Burke. Owen Burke across the glass running the board, and the phone number is 785-537-1350.
Call him.
If you want to call in and say whatever.
Talk junk on Troy.
Today's the day.
Let's bury him.
We will, in hour number 2, preview K-State baseball for the upcoming season, which starts a week from tomorrow in Arizona when they play Cal. And we're going to hear from K-State head coach Pete Hughes and players coming up starting at 5:10. More Taylor Swift Super Bowl prop bets of the day later on in hour number 2 as well. Going to hear from Patrick Mahomes in hour number 1. Plus, in our next segment, we'll hear from K-State women's basketball coach Jeff Mittie. I got to catch up with him earlier today at the basketball training facility they call the ICE, and talk for a few moments with Jeff Mittie, including an update on Aoka Lee. Is there a timeline? Is there a guesstimation on when Yoki can be back? We'll hear from Jeff Mittie here in a few moments as well. I'll ask you, Deej, what did the KU win for K-State do for you? Remember, it's coming off a 4-game losing streak. They beat KU. Most people thought Cats may not get this done. It's a real rough stretch, but they do. It took overtime. Jerome Tang now 6-0 this season in overtime. And then BYU on the horizon on Saturday night. Has That win alone brought back hope that, okay, maybe this team still has it in them. They can make a run for the NCAA tournament, or do you need to see more?
I hate to be that guy, but I've watched. I know.
Usually that's followed by you being that guy.
I know. I'm gonna be that guy though. That game was one of the weirdest, saddest little basketball games I think I've ever watched.
KU?
The KU game.
Really?
Yeah. I
had a good time.
The play was so sloppy for me that I came away with way more respect for them and in the idea of they're gutsy and that they have not cashed it in at all. I can tell you that right now that it is not for lack of trying for them. It's not about their heart or their guts or how hard they're playing. These kids are putting it all out there, and they really did have to go out there and bust their tails for one. But it wasn't one of those where it's like, man, we really put it together in spots where we haven't been earlier this season, and we look like a whole new team. There was a stretch there, especially those couple possessions, the last two possessions, after we got like the circus play and then the three from Tyler Perry, there were 2 or 3 trips down the floor. That might have been the 3 worst possessions I've ever witnessed in my life with my own eyes. It was horrible. And I don't want to be a guy who's like a home win against KU. You go and like, trash it and say it's worth nothing. It is worth something. And it doesn't change it doesn't help me overlook the flaws that the team has. And I hate to be that way. I really do. I honestly do not want to be this way, but I can't overlook the fact that I enjoyed this one less than I've ever enjoyed a KU victory. Really. It was the least amount I've enjoyed. There were times I was physically ill during the game. I could have thrown up.
Very interesting take because I could see it both ways where both, it did look pretty ugly. I mean, I thought it was an on-par basketball game for a home big-time Big 12 basketball game for K-State. I thought it was pretty similar to the Baylor game. Where they found a way to win, and that's the motto this year, just find a way to win.
I felt like the Baylor game was a little cleaner, and I felt like some shots were hit. It's just down the stretch, both teams, there was this feeling that whoever had the lead just couldn't close it out. Yeah, and it got so sloppy. I do think both teams were beat to heck, but K-State showed some guts, man. They really did, and I'm so proud of them for that. But yeah, I'm still like, we could lose Saturday by 15 points. I mean, that's the reality. I don't think it's going to spark a win streak. I just don't think so.
For me, just based on the question, is my hope back? Do I now believe, okay, this was enough for me to say that they found something, they've turned it around. Now they truly can be an NCAA tournament team instead of just, riding the bubble, and they're still on the wrong side of the bubble right now. I'm not there yet because I'm a consistency guy.
Right.
Okay, you did it at home against KU. Very dramatic game, very emotional game. Place was packed. You won at home in overtime against Kansas, a top 10 team. Amazing. And that was a lot of fun. But I need to see it again. Now on the road, now in an arena holds 19,000 people. Mm-hmm. It's now the biggest arena in Big 12, which is BYU's, whatever it's called. And BYU's a top 25 team. Can you do it again? That's where you really show, okay, now we are better. Mm-hmm. Now we've started to figure a little bit out. A lot of things had to go right for K-State to win that game, and a lot of them, not everything, but a lot of them did go right. Yet K-State still, I'm becoming more forgiving of the high amount of turnovers because I think Jerome Tang is right. They can win when they do commit 16, 17 turnovers. it was just pretty ugly basketball from missing shots as well, mixed in with that during that 4-game losing streak. So they did it this time, hitting shots, but they still committed the turnovers. So, I mean, it's Big 12 basketball. If you have 3 ugly possessions in a row, there's a good chance your opponent also did as well. Now it's just trying to play even basketball through those mistakes and then get them back later down the road. You know, let's see if we can now make a run of successful plays. I will say, you know, even though there isn't much scoring still from the bench, I have liked the improvements. Jerrell Colbert is the latest example of that. Plus, I would throw Day-Day Ames in there as well, hitting an early shot in that KU game. And Jerrell didn't score, but he did some great things. He was playing some really tough defense. You know, and I was surprised, and I said this Tuesday, that I was surprised that Jerrell did not play more in the second half and more in overtime. Guys, I was right there. I mean, I'm courtside watching the game, and I didn't notice it at first, so I went back and watched because Jerome Tang kind of brought that up without being asked about it and says just, you know, Jerrell right now not physically ready to battle for that long. I mean, it didn't take early on. He was pretty tired. So in stretch, you're going to get – I mean, from what I'm getting from Jerrell Colbert right now, 2 or 3 really solid minutes, then you need to get him out of there.
Right.
Will McNair, more in shape. Will McNair reminds me, he's like a 500 wrestler where he's beating the people he should be, but he's not beating the players that are better than him, if you know what I mean. He's kind of in the in-between here of when he's good, he can really be good. But when he's not as good as the player he's up against, he's rarely winning.
Right.
And it was, you know, he tried against Hunter Dickinson. It was a valiant effort. Didn't win too many times. However, in transition, when he had a step on his guy, he was really good. And he was rebounding. But the scoring can be a bit sloppy at times. Just depends on the matchup. So Jerome Tang said earlier today, he's going to stick with the lineup they're running with right now. Going to see how it continues to grow. I like it. Last year, that's what it took. Last year, I had to take an alignment adjustment, or a starting lineup adjustment, and that was Desi Sills. Now this year, it may just have to be a couple of guys and just kind of mix things up, and now Gasson and Will McNair embracing a new rule, and that's coming off the bench. And you know what? We've seen some good things out of it the last couple of games, and they're 1-1 in those last couple of games, but at least it was closer. You hate losing at Oklahoma State. That sucked. That's a bad loss. But they made up for it, kind of. Now, there's more making up to do for it, though. I need to see the consistency. I need to see, okay, now prove it on the road where Big 12 teams are winning 33% of the time. Odds are already stacked against you because you're going on the road in your conference, the toughest in the country. And by the way, these 4 teams that just came in, hey, they're doing a pretty good job of holding their own. So this will be the first trip for these guys. I mean, this might be the biggest crowd I'm sure they've ever played in front of. That'll take place in Provo on Saturday.
That's really interesting. I didn't know they are now the biggest Big 12 basketball.
By like 3,000.
Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, I would love to see a part of me, you know, David Gasson, I think is somebody who realizes that somebody needs to take the bull by the horns offensively. Somebody needs to grab the ball and go to the bucket. But he just can't, like, it just, you know what I mean? He can't chew and gum or chew gum and walk at the same time kind of thing with the basketball. Like, I was thinking a few years ago, Cartier Jada with the windmill dunk off of the steal. You know, that game on Monday, there was no one in the building who could have made that play. Everyone just seemed so tired. And it just, like, the ball handling was a little sloppy and everybody, even him, like, we haven't talked about that no call on his, like, you know, he got the ball kind of knocked out and then he knocked it out of bounds. He did, but we got the call. I think it was a callback. It was a call that we got because of this 55 walk, you know, like the 55-foot walk. That was finally we get
make-up
one
call 7 years later.
7 years later. Yeah. We needed it. But it just felt like, it felt like it was very sloppy. And I'm with you. If we go to BYU and this team wins at BYU with this new-ish look, then I think we can start talking about it. Like, maybe they've found something, but until then, I mean, if they go there Saturday and just, oh boy, look anything like they did against Oklahoma State, it's time to start talking about something else,
Let's go to the phone lines before we take a break. The phone number is 785-537-1350. Terry from Manhattan standing by. What's up, Terry?
Hey, just going to talk about I kind of waiting for the game for Carter to do something explosive, but didn't seem to ever happen. Like he normally does. Receive an alley-oop dunk or get to the basket, and put it in or something like that.
Yeah.
Too.
Are you talking about somebody specifically? Did I miss that?
Cam Carter.
Oh, Cam Carter.
Seemed like seemed like he was kind of in the background the whole game, and he was kind of behind Perry, like he probably should be, or maybe not, but he didn't shine out there like I was expecting him to do, because I guess he got a bucket here and there, and that's about it,
Well, I'll put it this way, and Terry, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Cam's still scoring his points. One time since Thanksgiving has Cam Carter not scored in double figures. The alley-oop from Cam Carter that he's had a few times this year have been incredible because Cam gets up there and the passes from, I think it's typically TP who throws it up there, has been on the money.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, if I were to say anybody has kind of been down a few games, if any out of the big three, I maybe go Arthur Kaluma.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been hitting the three-pointers lately. I think he's only hit one three-pointer in the last 3 games. So I think Arthur Kaluma has been really the quiet one, but he's still scoring in double figures the last couple of games. Tyler Perry, I think in his last 3 games, has played his best basketball. I think Tyler Perry individually has started to find his groove finally.
Mm-hmm.
This is his best last 3 games, which KU, Oklahoma State, and the real stinker in the first half against Oklahoma. I mean, Tyler Perry has scored 23, 19, and 26, and he's hit at least 3 threes in the last 3 games. I mean, we have not seen TP play that well, offensively, lead the offense, hit shots, hit big shots. I mean, he hadn't hit the clutch shot like he did in overtime against KU since, Villanova? Hadn't hit that big clutch shot, unless there's a game I'm forgetting. But I think that's what it is. It's been since December 5th, that last time TP really hit that clutch shot that we were needing. Mm-hmm. And he did it in overtime. As a matter of fact, went back-to-back on those clutch buckets.
Right. And, I agree with Terry. Like, the game, it was such a weird flow to the game. There weren't those big plays like that. Like, last season, it seemed like every game was filled with some momentum-changing play that happened. Or, like, last season, the alley-oop to basically win the game. You know what I mean? Like, there just always seemed to be something super exciting. And we keep hearing about Cam Carter, like, from practice and how these guys are like, this guy's the real deal. And you can tell he flashes those moments where you're like, this guy is a great basketball player. I want to see him, like I know Terry was saying, I want to see him grab the ball and take over a game. I would like to see that happen. And for me, that was on Monday. It was 2 teams that had no huge plays, and then all of a sudden, there was that run, the 11-0 run, then K-State came back, and then all of a sudden it was like the end of the game. And like we're going into overtime, and it was a clunky game.
Well, real quick, here's the simple answer. This wasn't the topic I was planning to tackle today, but it is an interesting thought. The simple answer is why K-State isn't, I'm going to air quote here, flashy as last year, is Marquise Noel.
Yeah.
Marquise had impeccable chemistry with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew he could anticipate either on a drawn-up play or a cutter. he had eyes in the back of his head. And Marquise Noel was one of the most dangerous guys in the country in transition.
Dude.
Because he was an insane passer. And he's doing it now in the G League. Behind the back, between the legs. Marquise set up the flashy play. It was up to the other guys to finish it.
Right.
So, of course, it takes, with the alley-oops and the passes, it takes two to do it. But, Marquise Noel was just so smooth.
He was awesome
in that department.
He was awesome.
He was so good at it. Sometimes it didn't feel like you needed. Like he would almost put it in by himself half the time. Right?
Well, I mean, heck, he's showing off half the time.
Half the
time.
Yeah. And I remember, we all remember last season there were times where you're like, all right, chill out.
Well, and you forget, like, Desi Sills threw a behind-the-back pass to Keontae Johnson for a 3 against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then what does Desi do right after? He just kind of showboats right in front of the Oklahoma bench in transition. Desi was the best showboater I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, again, K-State men are at BYU on Saturday. Tip it off at 9, pregame at 8 here on KMAN. When we come back, we transition to women's basketball. We'll hear from K-State women's coach Jeff Mittie after these words. Real shocker that Owen picks out some of the wrestling beds to play on the show, and I'm actually quite happy about it. Need to throw in some more AEW ones. Some of them I'm really
gotta get some in there. Yeah,
big
You
fan
got
of.
you got $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase's music in there.
we don't. And Mitch, actually, it's funny when you left for Manhattan Hoops on Tuesday. I played Ric Flair after you left because I was like, man, I gotta fit this one in. I haven't used it, and then I forgot you were leaving the second hour. So
It was not wasted, though. I liked it. Troy even was into it.
true. Yeah, I even got Troy a little excited.
Well, everybody knows who Ric Flair is.
True. Very true.
Everybody does.
Yeah. It's Ric Flair.
He's done a great job at keeping himself relevant.
Yes, he has.
K-State women's basketball on Saturday in Bramlage Coliseum after almost a full week off. The last game was on Sunday when they visited Texas and they lose by 7 points. This time the opponent will be the Oklahoma State Cowgirls, and the head coach will be former K-State women's basketball staffer J.C. Hoyt. Her Cowgirls are 11-11 on the season and a 4-7 record in Big 12 play. They have lost 5 in a row. K-State 20-3, the number 8 team in the nation, and a 9-2 record in the conference, but they've also lost a couple in a row. As of late, Cats trying to get back on the right track. People may forget this, and I completely forgot about this headline earlier. Emily Ebert, who is a former K-State women's basketball player, is now on the roster at Oklahoma State. She joined at semester, and she's playing roughly 9 minutes per game, only averaging about a point per game. But it'll be a familiar face back in Bramlage Coliseum on Saturday with the Cowgirls, not just a player, but also J.C. Hoyt, former staffer for Jeff Mittie. Speaking of the old ball coach, earlier today got a chance to catch up with K-State women's basketball coach Jeff Mittie. Here's that conversation from earlier today, and perfect timing. My computer just froze up.
Yes!
So what do you want to talk about here in the next 10 seconds here?
Hey, it's me, Jeff Mittie. Mitch.
Well, Coach, it seems like, ever since Yoki has been out and he's played now 5 games, it's just been a little tougher and tougher, maybe matching up and playing against, like a tough defense like Texas. But was Texas a really tough matchup without Yoki?
Well, I think this, with everything, you're not going to, you could take a lot of teams in the country, and if Caitlin Clark is not on Iowa's team, if people have to play differently. Doesn't mean they're not good. We're not about one player either. However, it does change some things, right? I've been really proud of our team. I mean, we went on the road and won Baylor. We played against our rival here, 48 hours after that, win a big game, have a heck of a win at home over BYU, and then we played 2 really good teams on the road. And so, we needed to do things better at Texas, and we just didn't control the ball well enough. So when you get it to a basketball, there was a path to play better, and we didn't do it. But this team is getting better, and I think the positive of it is we've seen some players play really, really well, like Eliza Maupin, for example. We saw Monty Lester give us the best 20 minutes she's given us all year. Those can be real positives going forward, and hopefully whenever we get Lee back, this will be a stronger basketball team.
Well, tell me more about Amani and what impact she has made. Maybe not really scoring points, but what else has she done to make that impact?
I thought in the Texas game in particular, passed the ball extremely well. She's able to contribute to the offense because she sees it and she understands spacing really well. And then at the defensive end, she's improving down there. She's more physical. She got a couple block shots in that game, and I thought her activity level was better. She went an entire year without playing basketball, so it hasn't. High school centers don't have to guard all the things that college centers have to guard. So I think she's made tremendous strides in the last 3 weeks.
Serena Sendell, we talked about her last week and how good she's playing and how at a high level she's playing right now. What's been the changes you've seen defense make on her? How are teams now guarding her differently because she's showing off lately that she's pretty good?
Yeah, I think they still try to do the same things with her. They try to crowd her, get up underneath her as a bigger guard. They really try to get into her dribble. I think where Serena's gotten so much better is just limiting how many dribbles. She doesn't fight pressure as much as she used to. She's able to get off the ball, then come back to it. And I just think, everything you want out of a player to get smarter, to understand both strengths and weaknesses, she continues to get better and better there.
So I don't think I've asked you about this yet this year, but I remember last year you said a lot that you felt like your team was passing up shots.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing this year, or is that improved?
Well, it's funny you're asking that because I feel like the one thing with Lee out that we have maybe turned down some early shot opportunities, and I'd like us to stay aggressive in that mode in the early part of the shot clock. And there's a fine balance there, and every team's got to find it. And we seem to hold it a little longer than I want to right now. So I think staying aggressive, getting back into practice. I've been really pleased with our 2 practices this week. They've come back with great energy, pretty good purpose. So I see us getting better every day.
Let's do the update on Yoki. I think the last couple of weeks we've been coming out here, it's been from boot to no boot, now no boot to she's wearing at least practice clothes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the update is she's able to do non-contact stuff right now, but this is going to be something that the medical people will, as we get further test ran, we're going to have the answer, and we're not going to know that. I do think she's sooner than later, though, and unless we get some news that I'm not expecting, which I hope we don't, you're going to see her on the court sooner than later.
But when she comes back, you still expect her to be, is pitch count the right word, to limit how many minutes she plays?
Yeah, I think any player that comes off an injury that's had more than a couple weeks, you may not have a limitation in terms of their overall minutes, but you might have limitations to the stretches that they can play. It may not be an 8-minute stretch. It may have to be a 3-minute stretch. And because generally, medical people don't want them playing really fatigued, whether it be an ankle, whether it be a knee, hip, whatever the case may be. So I don't know the answer on all of that, but I think there will be I do think there'll be getting her back into it, and it certainly won't be 35, 40 minutes right away.
I think when the football schedule comes out, we look at the schedule and say, oh, the bye weeks are this week and this week. Good time, maybe not good time. For you this week, you had the lull, as in you didn't have the midweek game. Was that to you good timing to have this break?
I think it was good. I think our team needed it. I think our team, I think from every area. We had 2 games on the road prior, 2 very, very physical games. I think we were able to get some mental and physical rest. And like I said, they came back Wednesday. Yesterday had a great practice. I thought it was really solid today, so they've came back with really, really good energy.
just one regular season game this year with Oklahoma State and J.C. Hoyt's team. So what's your thoughts on the Cowgirls this year heading into Saturday?
You know, they took some early season injuries, and they didn't have the Gusters kid eligible at the time. And Gusters is one of the top centers in the league, and we knew that when they recruited her. They've been a ever-evolving team, but I think JC's done a good job in through the injuries. Then they got Gusters eligible. They've got a talented team. They can really surround Gusters with some shooters. They've had a tough stretch here, but they've been in every single game and have really played, I think, pretty solid basketball.
All right, Coach. Best of luck against Oklahoma State. We'll talk to you after the game.
All right, Mitch. Thanks.
Once again, that's K-State women's basketball coach Jeff Mittie here on the game. Obviously, most notable news out of that is Ayoka Lee is her recovery. Sounds like it's going pretty well. Coach hopes to have her back sooner rather than later. Just depends on when they get her back in the X-ray machine or the MRI machine, whatever they're going to use to check out that ankle to see if it's doing well, if it's healing right. We'll make the decision for them if she's going to be able to go or not. I'll just stick with my original hopeful timeline, which I still have the fingers crossed. Really hope Yoki's able to come back for February 14th, which is a Wednesday against Iowa State on the road. It's the first of two against Iowa State. Iowa State's really good. Fingers crossed she can be back for that game. UCF was also, if you go and buy 4 weeks, UCF was also a possible game as well for her to come back, which is a week from Saturday, and that is a home game. 3 of the next 4 games for K-State is at home. So a lot of home action coming up. I mean, there's 2, this Saturday, next Saturday, and the Wednesday the 21st, and then at home Wednesday the 28th of February for senior night against Iowa State. So hopefully very soon Yoki will be back in the lineup for K-State, and things will be back to normal. Crushing teams is what normal is. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, all right, let's talk Chiefs. When we come back, because is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs becoming the villains of the NFL? We discuss next. Preview of K-State Baseball 2024 coming up at 5:10. BriggsAuto.com presents Passport to Cabo. Guys, we are giving away, along with BriggsAuto.com, an all-expenses paid trip to Cabo San Lucas. And we're going to hook you up with a 2-bedroom beachfront condo at Villa La Valencia. Guys, it's where Drum Tang goes to vacation.
So you know it's good.
If you want to live like Coach Tang, get in on the action. Plus, also in the mix, a flight for 2 out of Manhattan Regional Airport. Make sure to stay tuned because next week we're going to start to get finalists. It really kicks off next week, so make sure you're tuned in for the latest details.
I love it, how it makes it sound like, because we're taking care of everything. You get the flight out of Manhattan, you get the stay, it's all, all expenses paid. So you just show up with shorts and a cool T-shirt and flip-flops, Jimmy Buffett style, and we just fly you out of here.
Are you donating any cool T-shirts to the cause at all?
No.
I'll throw a Tommy Bahama in myself.
Dude, I ain't getting rid of none of my Tommy Bahamas. Those babies are expensive.
You're going to have to buy your own. That's the only thing you got to pay for.
That's all you got to pay for.
Passport to Cabo is made possible by Carpet One in Manhattan and Manhattan Wrecker.
Nice.
Switching directions to Super Bowl 58, which is on Sunday, I knew this question was going to come up at some point. Kansas City Dynasty, the bad guys now. Everybody wants them to lose now. This question, in a way, was asked to Patrick Mahomes.
Chris Jones talked about the fact that you guys are now becoming like the villains of the NFL. There's a growing narrative out there. I know everyone prefers to be liked, but is it a role that you kind of enjoy in a way? Do you feed off of that?
Not necessarily. I think I just like winning. If you win a lot and that causes you to be a villain, then I'm okay with it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to enjoy playing the game and try to win as much as possible.
So not a cool answer at all. Pretty boring, just kind of brushing it all off. Whatever happens, happens kind of answer. But it made me think, I'm like, okay, so I personally believe that with them just making it to a 4th Super Bowl in 5 years, the Kansas City Chiefs are absolutely in dynasty mode. Mm-hmm. I think it's win or lose this game against the 49ers, they are dynasty mode for as long as they have Patrick Mahomes. And I learned this year to not count out Patrick Mahomes. I said the Chiefs would lose twice already in the playoffs, and they're back in the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes is back in with his worst team.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to get like a good idea from like NFL fans that are like, what do these people think about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? I don't get the same feel that I did, back in the day with Tom Brady. Tom Brady wasn't, it was, hey, dynasty, they're always winning. Can't stand Tom Brady, wins all the time. Just kind of became a heel because he was good. Mm-hmm. Not a ton of personality behind Tom Brady. It wasn't too flashy. I don't really sense that right now. I think the Chiefs are fun to watch. Patrick Mahomes is flashy. I think it also helps, like Travis Kelce, post-game speeches or interviews is super fun. Mm-hmm. I think people would rather just hate on the people that those two are surrounded by. Taylor Swift and then Patrick Mahomes' family.
Yeah.
They're annoyed by Britney. His dad just got popped for a third DUI, and everybody hates
Jackson.
Mm-hmm. They would rather just hate on those people.
Yeah,
and appreciate the athlete, hate the family.
I get the feeling that I hate to say this, but his mom might be the worst out of them all. Have you ever she seems mean.
I don't know much about her.
Randy.
I know she makes handbags.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I've heard anything about her.
Dude, you just the feeling, when I see her, the feeling I get is that she's kind of mean. But let me tell you this. My wife, my wonderful, beautiful, amazing wife.
Shout out to her.
Is a Cowboys fan. And she told me, quote unquote, I'm just tired of seeing the Chiefs win. And I swear, I looked up and the clouds in the sky started to form this. They started to move in a direction I've never seen before in my life, and it got really dark. A Cowboys fan said, I'm tired of seeing somebody else win all the time. I couldn't believe my ears. It has happened. The Chiefs have crossed over into Cowboys/Patriots lane where people are just sick and tired of seeing them win.
Maybe I'm just closed off to other fan bases. We're in our Chiefs bubble. It's a pretty big bubble.
Big bubble.
But maybe I just don't see what's going on outside of our bubble. Are fans starting to hate on the Chiefs? I haven't honestly seen much of it, but that's not saying it's not out there. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's at that high level of, okay, now they're the villains because they're winning all the time. I mean, kids for a while were dressing up like Patrick Mahomes. And those jersey sales, it's not just in this bubble. It is across the country. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce jersey sales are all over the country. Mm-hmm. They are, without a doubt, they're A-listers in the NFL, and they will be forever. They are Hall of Famers. But I think if the hate was there, doesn't that not start a year or two ago? Because – remember, the AFC, they've still been in every AFC championship game for 6 years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It takes the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl wins. If they win 2 straight, it's like, oh, now I hate these guys because they keep winning.
I think it's the way that the Patriots went about their thing. This is the Patriots way. And then you throw in the tuck rule game, which kicks the whole thing off. You throw in Deflate.
They're cheaters. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
When you add this element of the kind of it's this odd they really embraced that role. They really did, and the whole cheating stuff over and over and over. They were filming people's practices back in the day. I think that added to this whole these guys, man, they cheat and win all the time. Screw them. And they never look like they're having any fun. At least the Chiefs look like they're having fun when they're winning. I think that added to the hate that those guys.
Yeah, Bill Belichick had troops whipped into shape, but yeah, they weren't fun. No. They did things to make themselves heels.
Yes.
Other than that, they just went about their business. Travis Kelce is shouting out Beastie Boys lyrics.
Yes. He's dating Taylor Swift, man. That's Burt Reynolds kind of territory.
The Chiefs are cool.
They're cool.
It's I think it's the hate comes a lot from the younger generation, like people around my age, not younger generation. I'm not trying to paint you guys as old or anything, but
Gen Z
people, people around my age are sick of it, and I think this year is where it's really ramped up because again, what'd you lead off with? Here he is back in the Super Bowl 4th time in 5th year, his worst supporting cast. They're like, finally, he's gonna lose. Buffalo's gonna take care of business. Another week goes by. Okay, well they got to go to Baltimore. They're gonna take care of business, and here we are for the 3rd, 4, and 5, and he's sitting at the Super Bowl again. So I do think it's ramped up quite a bit this year because people thought finally the tomfoolery comes to an end, but yet here we are. He's back in it.
I know we only have about 30 seconds. I just want to say there is a difference between wanting the Chiefs to lose and rooting for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to win.
Very, very true.
I think there is a difference there. I think some people thought, hey, it'd be cool to see what does Bills Mafia do at a Super Bowl. How do they ramp things up when there's not a bunch of snow around? All right, hour 2 of the game, a preview of 2024 K-State baseball is next, and so is your local news.